There's nothing fucking funny about this. Good
right?
morning.
Yeah, no, it's hysterical. Yes. Day 125 of Twitter watch.
Jesus Christ. Oh, good morning, everyone. It is December 19th, 2022. There are 10 people watching us already. What the fuck is wrong with people?
I don't know. I mean, it's like what? It's like, you know what it is? It's you know, oh my God, I can't believe that Christmas is this weekend. What?
My shit's messing up.
Oh no.
Hold on, I'm gonna fix it.
Oh, okay. Hold on.
All right, there we go. There we go. All right, I'm good.
Oh, okay,
I'm
all
good
right.
now. I was getting some crossfeed from somewhere. I don't know what it was.
Well, you only have 74 tabs open, so it must be one of them.
Don't judge me, Daphne.
No, not at all.
All right, you ready for this?
No, but hit it anyway.
All right, here we go. The views and opinions expressed within the video content found on the Indie Comics Network are those of the speakers and do not necessarily reflect the views or positions of the Indie Comics Network or its sponsors.
It's Monty Moore. I'm a 30-year comics veteran in comics, games, and movies, and you've been watching one of my absolute favorite podcasts, Catch the Craze.
You are watching Catch the Craze.
What am I listening to?
And you're listening to Catch the Craze.
Where are all the indies at?
A Catch the Craze podcast.
What are you watching?
I'm watching Catch the Craze.
What are you going to do?
Subscribe now to Catch the Craze, the #1 show online for independent.
Have you subscribed to?
You are an independent. Catch the Craze! Making moves on your own. Catch the Craze! On your grind in the streets. Catch the Craze! Join the movement. Catch the Craze!
Dun-dun-dun.
Oh my goodness.
Good morning, Daphne.
Good morning, Nita.
Mm-hmm.
I pulled my back yesterday.
Oh, no.
So I just want to remind everybody, is everybody actually getting up from their chairs, and not hermetically sealing themselves to them because they're working so much? Please remember to get up from your chair.
I do. I get up and I walk in the kitchen and get some water and come back.
Oh my God. Yesterday, yeah, I pulled my back getting out of my chair. And it was okay. It was fine until I had to go to the supermarket and I made the mistake of trying to lift up a case of water. So that did it, definitely.
Well, then.
Yeah, so I'm a little uncomfortable today. But we're okay. We're okay. But like I said, you know what? It's like, what we do for a living is very sedentary, and we have to make sure that we get up and we actually do some form of regular exercise to keep this nonsense from happening to us. We're not athletes, but we have to train. We have to take care of ourselves like athletes. I've spoken about this before. So yeah. So if you see me kind of like shifting over a bit or whatnot, that's what's going on over here. So how are you doing, Nita?
I'm obviously better than you are today.
Right, yeah, exactly.
I'm just moving just because it's what I always do.
Right, yeah. Okay, yeah. So welcome everybody to another episode of whatever it is we do here. What do we do here? Oh yeah, we run a show on YouTube.
For some reason.
Yeah, I know. Just for the little lulz. We like it. We like doing this. That's what it is. Did you say it was Monday? You said it was Monday.
I hope I did.
Yeah, you said it was Monday. I forgot to adjust my Post-it notes. So it's Monday. I'm pretty sure it's Monday, right? Oh my God. No, really, because we're already this coming weekend is already Christmas. So it's like, I'm like, oh, already. But welcome everybody. So who's joining us in the chat today? Who's joining us?
Let me get
I
back
saw
over there.
Efrain pop up for a minute.
Yep, got Rich, Efrain, Alison, Jody, McPhee.
Hello,
Good morning.
hello.
Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning, everybody. And yes, and I see you, the 8 people watching us from regions beyond, next to the giant eyeball on my StreamYard screen. Thank you so much for joining us. And if you are joining us from Facebook, if you are joining us from Twitter, come on over to YouTube. Join the sexy people in the chat. At least here we have no problem with seeing your comments and whatnot, because Facebook likes to act up, and Twitter doesn't even allow you to interact the way we like to interact here. It's like, because this show is just as much about you guys as it is about us whining about being old and pulling our back sitting. So that's what it is. So yeah, we have a big day today. So so let me get the intro started. So hello everyone, my name is Daphne Lage, and I'm a cartoonist, illustrator, and comic book artist from New York. I have been self-publishing comics since 1992, and I am known for the furry fantasy adventure Tall Tales, returning to Kickstarter early 2023. I'm actually going to be sending out for the proofs for Tall Tales to Peacekeepers this week. So I'm really excited to get that process going. And I am currently known for my medieval fantasy soap opera drama, Eagle Raven, Heir of the First Unicorn, which also returns to Kickstarter late spring 2023. Thank you everybody who supported the previous campaign. I've already sent everything out right before we went live, so it's all in the pipeline now. So hopefully I'll be able to get everything back before the end of the month, so we can start the new year with everybody getting all their pledges. Thank you so much. And in the meantime, you can read both my comics online at Tall Tales, TAILS online.com. And you can watch all and of course, you can also follow me on at EagleWorks as well, EGOWORKS, especially now more than ever, considering what's going on. And you can check out all my videos on how I make my comics here on YouTube at my channel at Daphne Lage, Lage Art, which simulcasts through the Indie Comics Network. And to tell you more about it here's Nita.
Yeah, my name is Nita. I'm the executive producer of the Indie Comics Network and Indie Comics Network After Dark on YouTube. It's just a bunch of shows and a bunch of creators getting together and talking about the industry, doing their thing, yo.
So make sure that if you're joining us on any of these channels that you like, you like, share, subscribe, the whole thing. Hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell so you get notified whenever.
And we've got an amazing link tree with everybody.
Yeah,
in it.
Exactly. It's like, it's like so that you get notified whenever we go live. And yes,
Me too.
And so is Nita.
It shows. Oh man.
All together now. Oh my goodness. And yes, and speaking of websites, speaking of link trees, wow, what a cluster F on Twitter yesterday, huh?
It was crazy, man. The rules changed and went back and changed and went back in like 3 hours time. Like, it was
I swear to God, it's like hell has no fury than a billionaire throwing a tantrum online. So for those of you who saw a couple of episodes back how we were talking about during the initial Twitter implosion, how important it is to have your own website. Well, yesterday really brought it home for us. Wow. Thank you.
Yes, I have.
So what happened was that for a couple of hours, actually, for pretty much several hours yesterday, Twitter had uploaded a rule where you were not allowed to link to any outside social media platforms at all. And although that my website my feed didn't seem to be affected, Nita's got decimated yesterday. They deleted Twitter deleted a whole bunch. She lost half her feed.
Any of my posts that included our link tree or an outlink to someone else's Instagram was gone. They left the crowd funds up there that led to Kickstarter and Indiegogo, and like that's it. The Facebook links, anything anywhere else was gone.
They had a very specific hit list.
And the Indie Comics Network whole page was shut down temporarily because it had a link tree in the bio.
Right, which is funny because I had a link tree in the bio as well. So I only came across these new rules on Facebook actually, and then I went.
Yeah, that's how I found it too.
Yeah, and and they had a whole hit list of websites you could not link to, and luckily my website, my page, my feed wasn't affected, but I changed everything to link to my to link to my website, and it only it only reinforced. Well, right, yeah, I know, right? That's all it takes. Well, they've already began backtracking.
They redacted it. In fact, now if you click the original, I took a screenshot of it to have because they delete everything, and people were talking to me like I was an idiot when I was telling them, no, my shit's been affected too.
Because
and they're like, it's only going after bots, and I'm like, no, I'm telling you, my account was fucking trashed.
Yeah,
and so I saved a screenshot of the actual image.
Right.
But the link you click to it is 404 now.
Right. Yeah. Because I had sent Nita the link to their their updated terms of service that had the list to like all the social media platforms you were not allowed to well technically me too, but it's like now
I did
like
that's what's crazy. I was fucking doing great on fucking Twitter until recently. In the past couple of months it feels like I've got like this total shadow ban. Like I went from engagements of 500,000 and more to 658 in 70 days. How the fuck does that even happen?
Right.
And
sounds
I did
almost coincidental. So it just really goes to show you that how important it is for everybody to really, really have a website to bring everybody to. I mean, it's like, look, back when I originally bought egoworks.com, it was $50 a year, no hosting, actually, I think that when I bought it, it was like, actually, there was kind of like a pretty high monthly fee. But now it's like it's $10 a year. You can get domains for like $7 a year, $10 a year, whatnot.
IndieComicsNetwork.com.
That's right. I mean, really, it's
.com.
I mean, it's like nobody has an excuse now. And now it's even more important that we all have our central locations to bring everybody to and to shoot them out from. Because at least I listed my website in my bio and in my feed. So they go to egoworks.com. All my stuff is there. But if they want to see me on Facebook, they want to see me on Instagram or whatnot, on YouTube, they can go from my website from there. Although if they wanted to, they could be watching us on my website just as well, because we are also broadcasting live on my website. So I'm still chuffed that I got that to work. So that's the whole idea, to try to remember, you want to have a website where people sign up for your mailing list and you use that as a hub to bring in all your entire audience if you can, because it's obvious that especially now social media is, Twitter especially, is incredibly unstable. And even if everyone's moving to Mastodon, everybody's moving to these, which honestly, I think that's the real reason why they implemented this rule.
That's exactly why they did it. And then they punished people who were going to stay anyway.
Right. Exactly.
Really, bro? People who are going to go whether you let them share one last link or not.
Right. Exactly. And the thing is too, is that we have a Mastodon account or whatever. Nita has a Hive account or whatnot. But it's like, to me, it's like,
they're on hold.
There's nothing. Yeah, they're on hold. I mean, it's like right now they're just placeholders for me. I don't consider them really like any type of serious platform at all. It's like everyone said they're going to go there, but then come on, I saw just as many people coming back to Twitter because it's like it may be a hot mess, but it's a hot mess. Everybody understands, and everybody's built their audiences on.
Did anybody ever understand Twitter though? Did anybody really ever master the web?
Right. Well, yeah, you see, that's the thing. There is no secret sauce to this stuff. I mean, except for the fact that, that the algorithm loves angry engagement, and that the more bullshit you spew, the more engagement you get. And it's like, and it allows it, but that doesn't really benefit you as much as it benefits the platform, because now they can sell advertising to the audience that's angry with you or at you or whatever's going on. It's like, doesn't make any real sense. So that's kind of like what we were really learning yesterday, that it's like, holy crap. I mean, it's like, no, this whole thing about having a website is absolutely, yeah, exactly. That's exactly what it is.
And I'm claiming parking spots everywhere.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean, really, it's like, it's kind of obnoxious, to tell you the truth. Having all of these accounts that it's like, you know what? It's like just a fraction of them are useful at all, but you got to kind of keep up with it to see, because you never know, like which one is going to finally blow up. It's like, okay, I have an account there already. But yeah, it was just like really sick. But the thing is, though, when I sent Nita that link to the terms of service, I told her, it's like, look, the way Twitter's been acting lately, don't be surprised if they backtrack on this in a couple of hours. Because like the backlash is going to be incredible on it. And so far they haven't really stuck with anything, any changes that they've tried to make. I mean, it's absolutely ridiculous. So that's kind of, that's kind of what happened yesterday. I mean, it's like anything else happened with you?
No, that was the highlight of my fucking day.
Right. Yeah, because we love dealing with social media snafus, stopping everything that we're doing, just like, oh fuck, I got to take care of this.
Right. And then the fact that it was like they decided to redact it, and they went ahead and allowed it, but guess what they're not going to do? They're not going to put my post back on there.
Right. Yeah.
Fucking 3 years worth of cross
promotion. Oh my God, really?
Different accounts.
Right.
Yeah. Like, what the fuck, man?
Right. Oh yeah, no. Once it's gone, it's gone. That's it. I mean, honestly though, it's like, I kind of think it's like, oh, thank you for the cleanup. I mean, well, yes. I mean, it's like, no, but that's a good, honestly, you had a better weekend. I mean, yeah, it's like, there are just some days I wish that I could just completely just unplug. And it's like, oh, I don't want to, deal with anything online. But I mean, it's just hard nowadays. I mean, sure, it's possible, but it's like, so much of what we do is plugged in.
Right.
Like it's not, I mean, it's like, think about if your email goes down, the absolute panic that happens, or it's like when you lose your internet for like a couple of hours. I mean,
right.
Like, I mean, it's just, just ridiculous. So it's like, even though as much as I have a distaste for Twitter, it was just like, oh, come on, guys. It's like, really? It's like,
I was Twitter's biggest fan 6 months ago.
It's like
it was great for marketing.
Right. I mean, it's like, what's the point of social media if I can't
and then somebody told me yesterday in one of my comments about it, he was like, well, I'm not having any problems with it. So I go over and I look at his Twitter page. He's got like 1 or 2 likes here and there scattered out. Like, it's like, dude, you're just as fucking shadow banned as I am. What do you mean you're doing good over there?
Well, it's only because, it's like, one, he's not paying attention to what's actually going on. And it's like, well, it's not directly I didn't get my site, banned or anything. So nothing's happening to me. And it's like, but that's kind of like a different issue. It's like the whole attitude. Well, it's like, well, it didn't affect me, so you're the idiot. And it's like, dude, it's like, one, nobody gives a fuck about you, okay? And two, it's like, look, just because something is not happening to you doesn't mean the rest of us
It's not
are having
happening.
it doesn't mean the rest of us are having a mass hallucination, so it's like, I mean, it's Jesus Christ. I mean,
I mean,
like,
I'm relieved that
whatever.
it's back to normal-ish, normal
right.
shadow ban.
Right.
But
Yeah,
yeah, to take away the ability to post, like with the amount of people who are freelancers over on Twitter,
right. Yeah,
and
exactly.
use their link trees for resumes as well as reference and everything else
Right.
and links. It's like, how in the fuck did anybody even think for a second that would be a good idea? It's
Right.
like, here's how to contact me. Oh no, wait, I only live here now.
Right. Yeah. And the thing is, and Twitter is, I mean, yeah, I don't know what it's like. Look, it's like, obviously, people coming in had a fantasy of Twitter that, as opposed to what it really was. And, and they're realizing that their fantasy is not exactly what's actually happening. And it's like, you know what? It's like, certain things are done for a reason, but it's like, whatever. It's like, because look, in the end, I think that it just served as a reminder that as creators, we really do have to take back control of our audience. That we've been depending way too much on all these outside platforms to build an audience, as opposed to as opposed to us doing it. And and it's just really time for us to, get your domain, get your website together, get a hub together, get a mailing list together, get as many people from these platforms to sign up to your mailing list as possible. I mean, it's like, we just have to take back control over, what we were kind of doing in the beginning, at the
birth of the internet.
What we were kind of, doing. And then I guess we just got really complacent with all these platforms taking away our audience from us, because like, oh, they were supposed to make it more convenient, and instead now they're making it more even more and more complicated for us, so that's kind of, so that was, so that's really, it's like, you have no excuse now to not have a website. You know what, let's all bring it back home. Everybody's got to come home now, so come on home.
Hop back into the BBC chats.
Yeah, exactly. I know, really.
That's all
that's all we need, right? We just need like Live Journal to come back or something. Maybe not when it's owned by Russian oligarchs, but
oh my God.
But really, it's like, it's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. Oh my goodness. Yeah, hold on. I mean, yeah, but yeah. So are we getting up? So yes, when everyone's working, right? You're remembering to at least stretch yourself out a bit.
What on earth is that?
I mean, really, because it's like, it's like, look, I couldn't even tie my shoes. And it's like, Jesus Christ, all I did was get out of a chair, and now I can't tie my shoes.
Poor Daphne.
I mean, it's like, and it's like, look, they're stretching. Even if you for some reason you can't get out of your chair or whatnot, it's like you have mobility issues. There's still there's still exercises that you can do, stretching exercises or whatnot to keep yourself from atrophying. Oh, well, that's true. That's true, Jake. I mean, you're not responsible for the audience, but what you can do is you can make it easier for them to find you when everything when everything when whatever whatever other tantrum Elon decides to have, online. It's like, Jesus Christ, it's like, you know what, bro, just go get your $44 billion bailout from the government. Like, is going to happen at the end of this, and just leave the rest of us alone. It's like, come on. We all know this was a money
.coms and my
laundering
link trees there.
Yeah, really. It's like, look, we all know this was a money laundering scheme to begin with. It's like, just go get your tax credits and leave us alone. Oh my goodness. So I know that we're going to be a little early, but the thing is that we have a very special guest today, and I'm very excited to talk to him because I think that, with all this talk about crowdfunding and Kickstarter and whatever, it's like now we're going to get like a different perspective, maybe a different option, for everybody, for what's going on. Yeah. So it's like, yeah. So let's throw a bump, and we will be right back.
It is difficult to write these words, but I must for my own sake. I have done, seen, and been part of many things in my life.
Make sure you guys check this one out today, ending in 4 hours.
Oh, yes, that's definitely
JP Calderon.
Yes, and hello, welcome. Hello. So why don't you tell the peoples who you are as you enter our lovely abode here?
As the sign says, Andrea Lorenzo Molinari. I'm with Scout Comics. I'm the editorial director. And I also write a title along with my son called The Shepherd. It's an original graphic novel series. We've published 3 volumes so far, and we have number 4 coming out in March, or the beginnings of it.
Oh, very nice. Very nice. So it's a whole family endeavor going on right there.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Right.
The book is about a family, and a good chunk of my family is directly involved in either writing or editing the book.
Right. That's very nice. Now, did you always start off as wanting to do comics, or was it something that kind of like you ended up in? Like, was there a particular comic that, or like you had a little history with comics that kind of led you on this path?
Yeah, it's completely accidental. Like, my background is I'm an academic. I actually have a PhD. I have spent 12 and a half years teaching college, most of that in grad school. And there was never really a plan, getting into comics. It was never a plan. Nothing that I had ever thought even crossed my mind, really. I had been a comic fan from the time I was a little kid. And then during high school, I kind of stopped reading comics because it was the kiss of death. You'd never, ever get a girlfriend.
Oh no!
It would never happen. So the comics had to go, and then eventually I got back into comics when I got into college because the guy living next to me in the dorm got me kind of started into comics again because he had given me. I remember he asked me. He said, "Did you like Batman when you were a kid?" And I said, "Oh yeah. I mean, who didn't?" And he said, "Oh, I've got some Batman you should read." And this is, just to give you a sense of this, this is 1986. So he hands me a copy of The Dark Knight Returns.
Oh, no.
Everything. Changed everything. It brought me back to comics. Because I'd never seen that Batman before, ever. Ever. I mean, you got to keep in mind, I grew up with, between the Adam West, Burt Ward, 1960s television show to the 1970s version of a Batman who's working openly with Commissioner Gordon, talking to police officers as if he belongs on the crime scene, that type of thing. And and then you read that and you're like, this is the first time Batman's ever made sense.
Right. Yeah, that happened to a lot of people who
Yeah.
are exposed to that. That it's like it just opened up like a lot of possibilities as to what comics could be, or
Yeah.
what superhero comics could be. So how did that? Okay, so you're back. You're back on the wagon. So how does that lead you to being an editor at Scout?
Well, again, convoluted road, not planned. None of this has really been planned. This is all seat of the pants type stuff. The idea for the book, The Shepherd, came to me. I had a nightmare, basically, and it was about my son. I woke up. It was just, I would say, a singular dream or nightmare that I'd ever had in my life. I'd never had anything like that before. How realistic it was. How long the nightmare was protracted. So in other words, it wasn't just like something bad happened, but it was like something bad happened and then the aftermath and the repercussions and consequences of that. It was like being, I say this all the time, it's like being strapped into a roller coaster that you don't want to be on.
Right.
And just, you're going to be damned to finish this, and I woke up, I was very shaken. And I talked to my wife about it. The dream involved my son, my oldest son. Essentially, the nightmare was that he had died of a drug overdose. And it took me 2 days before I could work up the courage to talk to him about it. When I finally did, his whole reaction was, "Dad, that's so cool." And I was like, no, it's really quite not cool. It's not good at all, really, because I'm wondering if this is some kind of like a
premonition,
portent or premonition of doom.
Right.
I'm like, no, this is not good. But from the very beginning, he really felt we needed to do something with the story. And I would basically say that he nagged me for months on end after that, and eventually wore me down, with the like Chinese water torture type thing. And we ended up writing it, getting an artist, eventually getting published first with Caliber Comics.
Oh.
Caliber for 5 years, and then in 2020 we came to Scout. But that whole thing got me into comics, and when I was there in Caliber, it came to my attention that they really needed some help with the editing. And of course, like I said, my background, so I see in the chat, there's Alison wanted to know what the PhD is in.
And she's our other big brain in the
it's ancient Christian literature and history. Ancient Christian literature and history.
Huh.
And I was always very interested in the cultural context. So it wasn't just like a focus on, like biblical literature or something like that. It was really about the Roman Empire, the Greco-Roman world that gave birth to that movement, and then the history and literature that came out of it. But anyway, that, because I had that strong background in literature, undergrad degree in journalism, it was clear that they had books coming in that were good, but needed help, like needed some tender loving care. And I said, well, I explained to Gary Reed, who was in charge of Caliber at the time. I said, I can help you with this. Eventually one thing led to another, and I started editing for Caliber. And, I think that editing kind of got me on the radar of Scout. And eventually when they brought me in, they knew that I could bring that to the table, and one thing led to another, and they made me editorial director. I have 4 editors that I work with, and I have all these books that I've done. I've worked on about 140 titles so far for Scout since 2020.
I mean, what I'm surprised that I didn't realize that Scout was around, had that type of legacy. It's like, because I only started hearing about Scout in the last couple of years, and it's like, oh snap, you were there since Caliber, and it's like, Scout was there with you. It's like, wow.
Well, Scout was there in 2014. That's when they got started. They were actually known as Arden Entertainment before that. The CEO, Brendan Deneen, started that. And then in 2014, they became Scout Comics.
Right.
And like I said, I was interacting with Scout because I was going out to all the conventions and bumping into their leadership. I mean, I'm here in Florida, and Scout, of course, is in Fort Myers. So, you go to any conventions around here, you were going to bump heads with these
Right.
guys. And, you know, we spent a lot of time talking, and the more I talked with them, the more I felt like we were of the same mind, you know, very much a team approach. The idea of, you know, the rising tide lifts all the ships.
Yeah.
I think that there's a danger in comics. You can be too focused on yourself. You know, it's
Yeah,
like, I need
yeah.
to promote my own book. And it's
Yeah.
like, really, do you?
Yeah.
You know, do
No,
you really?
yeah, that whole no man is an island, right? And
Right.
and I think a lot of people forget that. Yeah.
You can't do it by yourself. There's
No, you
nobody
really
out
can't.
there that has the skill set to be able to do everything. I
Yeah,
mean,
no, absolutely. And I kind of think that that's what we try to explain or portray here, is that we all have something to learn from each other, you know, and that we shouldn't, it shouldn't be like, oh, I have to do this on my own. And it's like, no, that's one, it's actually impossible. And two, trust me, it's a lot more fun when you're surrounded by friends who can help you. Now the thing is that so considering your type of academic background, how was there like kind of like a learning curve to start editing comics?
Mostly with the lettering. So one of the mistakes that I see with in comics is you have people that they call themselves an editor, but they don't know a lot about lettering. And if you're going to edit comics, you better know lettering technique. Right. You know, because I tell people this all the time. It's like if you look at the letterer, somebody who's a letterer, a letterer gets paid by the page. So they're all about speed. Think about it. You want to get as many pages done as fast as you can because you're paid by the page.
Right.
Okay. An editor is typically paid, you know, in time, because you can't rush what an editor does. They have to think about, you know, because there's a lot of different things that an editor is doing. Just to name off a few, I mean, you're looking at the lettering technique. You're looking at obviously grammar, punctuation. You're going to be looking at character development, story flow. You're also going to be looking for logic, you know, like characters appear at a certain point. Like, how did they get there? Why are they there? Why? And I had, just to give you an example of this, and I'm sure you've seen this before, where you have characters that have knowledge of stuff that they have no business knowing. It's like,
right. Yeah.
How does this character, I asked the writer, I said, how does this character know this? Is it omniscient? No. How does he know? The character shouldn't know. So what we have to do is we have to somehow in the story give that character that knowledge so that he can say that line. Otherwise he can't say that line because there's no reason for him to know it. So those kinds of things. So that's, you know, it's a whole gamut of issues they have to be aware of. And so obviously my point there is that an editor is working slowly and a letterer is working quickly.
Right.
So you see what I mean? It's like they're the yin and yang for each other, you know? So an editor definitely needs to be able to look at lettering technique and critique it, you know? And like at Scout, we have a Haus style that we've adopted, which is Blambot. You might be familiar with.
Oh, yes, definitely. Yeah.
Nick chose it.
Nick Pink. Absolutely. We all have that. I can grab mine right now.
And the reason why we chose it, just so you know, is because it does have a manual and it has a website that you can together, the editor and the creative team can consult. And if there's questions about it, they can discuss that.
Right.
And, you know, come to a meeting of the minds. But you can't, I say this to like my superiors at Scout all the time, and you cannot allow the books to come in with their own lettering style. Because then it's the Wild West, you know. And think about this from an editor's point of view, how unfair it is. I've got to look at your style as a letterer, and I've got to learn it. Right. And then I got to hold you accountable to being consistent.
Interesting.
To your own style, which letterers aren't.
Right.
Why? Because they're moving quickly.
Right.
Because they're moving quickly. And when you move quickly, that's how you run into errors. It happens. I mean, it's not beating up letterers. Letterers are great. I love them. You know, and they're a crucial part.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah,
you know,
absolutely.
There's nothing that would destroy your book quicker than bad lettering.
Well, I mean, they had mentioned it on JD's show last night, where it's like, you know, where it's like, it doesn't matter how beautiful the book is. absolutely nothing kills a book faster than absolutely inept lettering.
Yeah.
Oh,
You know,
my
and the
God,
fact that you really put that much effort into making sure that there's a style guide for everybody to follow, I think is incredibly important. I think way too many people underestimate their lettering.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Now the thing is though, is that, okay, so pretty much that you've been in, I guess, like professional publishing, as opposed to like in although Caliber was considered independent at the time too. And I guess
Right.
Scout is independent too, but not the way like kind of we know it. You know, like there's indie comics and then there's like independent mainstream.
I would say small press is probably the
press.
best
There you go.
distinction. So
There
you
you
have
go. That
independent
works.
and then small press.
Right. So you've spent all these years in small press. Thank you so much. And so what is kind of like, what are like the thing that really stands out for you between then and now in terms of, I guess, like where you're standing in terms of comic book publishing?
Well, I mean, you're constantly learning, you know, so I think, you know, I don't want to give the impression that I've arrived at any, you know, mountaintop and now I'm a guru or some sort such like that. You're constantly learning. And I think that that's a really good thing. It's hard to answer that question for me to say, what is the single, like if there was a single thing,
right? Like what stands out for you now? Like, you know, it's like, you know, you're looking over, you know, everywhere the light touches.
Yeah. I mean,
what's, you know, it's like, what stands out?
I would say, the longer I'm in comics, the more I realize the choice, like, and I'm saying this as a writer, okay, from a writer's perspective,
right?
The choice of your art partner is the most important choice. Because you know, typically the funding comes from the writer, you know, whether it's a crowdfunding or out of your own pocket. And I've done both. Now it pretty much comes out of my own pocket. But you have to choose somebody. You know, the art is what the publisher, if you submit to a publisher, you know, let's just put it this way. I had a publisher tell me not long ago that within 20 seconds, he knows if he's interested in a pitch.
Ooh, interesting.
And it has nothing to do with what's written on the page.
Huh.
It's all about the art. The art will either open the door for you or slam it in your face.
Interesting.
So how you choose that art is really important. And you can be, you know, you have to be careful. It's like, you want to have a balance between affordability because you got to be able to pay the bills at the end of the day. But if you're paying, let's say you get a deal and you're paying $80 a page, but you can't publish it.
Right.
Is it a deal? And I propose it isn't.
Right.
You know,
or conversely, you can be paying $15 a page, but nobody really wants to see it.
Right.
You know, I mean, it's like, it really is a balancing act. I mean, it's like, again, referring to JD, who does the Oswald Chronicles, he's always balancing that. You know, it's like getting the quality of work that he wants while still being able to publish the book at the end. Now here's the thing too. So we have this whole crowdfunding landscape, and it seems to be like, at this moment, like kind of like the dominant way people can get their books published. But that's not really for everybody. Not everybody has the stomach for that. Like not everybody really has, you know, like we were saying before, it's impossible to be everything and to do everything. And sometimes, and running a crowdfunder sometimes is that wall a lot of people hit, that it's like, oh, I really don't want to do that. So what's the alternative? Like, okay, so say they wanted like what's the alternative that publishing at a like going to a small press gives them, as opposed to doing it all themselves on crowdfunding?
Okay, well, I guess the first thing I would do is break down the either or, because I would say you're better off with both and.
Right.
Okay. So like, for example, Scout allows crowdfunding. They want you to communicate, you know, if let's say you're Daphne, you're a Scout creator, they would want you to talk to your editor and make sure that you get your campaign, you know, approved through Scout.
Right.
And then, you know, you're free to go ahead and do your crowdfunding. I think that crowdfunding is a gift to us because it is probably the best way that creators can make money. Because, let's just be honest, as a small press doesn't have the reach of Marvel or DC.
Right. Yeah.
They just don't. I mean, if Marvel and DC control, roughly a third of the, it's not quite a third, but say a third each of them. DC is less than that now, but roughly a third of the market for each of them. And when you look at a company like Scout or Aftershock or something, they're looking at just like a 1% or less of the market. So you're not going to, let's just put it this way, you're not going to put the down payment on the Maserati.
Right. Yeah. Anytime soon. Not at all.
It's a Matchbox, perhaps.
Right.
So I think that crowdfunding is good because it gives you an opportunity as a creator to make some money, so I think we need it. I would definitely not throw out the crowdfunding. Right. But like you said, it's a tremendous amount of work and not everybody has that gift skill set.
Right.
Like for me, I just didn't have the patience for it. I just didn't have the patience. And from what I've seen, and I'm no expert on crowdfunding, but just from what I've seen and the conversations that I've had, is that you're not going to probably make money right out of the blocks. You're probably going to have to start with some small crowdfunding campaigns,
right?
Be successful, deliver your product, and build up a reputation of being able to do that, of delivering on your promises. And then eventually you can get to the point where you're making, some of those bigger campaigns. I will tell you, like, one of my concerns, and I'd be interested to see what you think about this. One of the concerns that I have when I look at crowdfunding is I'm disturbed by how much of the crowdfunding sells itself using sex. And particularly the woman's body, as the object of sale. And look, I mean, I'm a straight male. I like women a lot. That's not.
I'm a crooked female. Me too.
Yeah, I mean, so it's not that issue, but I'm always troubled by that. Right. And the thing is, we see so much of it. You only need to go on Instagram or any of the other social media platforms. And what are they selling? They're constantly selling this. And I'm concerned about it because I feel like it's not necessarily a positive thing for women because it's kind of reinforcing the male gaze as being this is the determiner of value. And I think that it also diminishes the focus on story. And maybe this is the scholar in me, but it's like, I feel like, we talk about how art is what draws people to the medium. Okay. But the story, I believe, keeps people.
Right.
So if the art's great, but if the story is badly written, I don't think it's going to sustain itself. The story has to deliver, and I feel like I see some of these and I'm just like, I just don't see the story,
Yeah,
Anyway.
I kind of think, because it's like, it's like, look, there are some of those books that I do personally enjoy, but yes, it's for an artistic reason, not necessarily because I think the stories are brilliant. Actually, that's usually the last thing that they are. I mean, there's a campaign that I follow, who does that type of work that to this day, I have yet to know what the interiors of the book looks like, But the thing is, though, is that it's like I'm kind of wondering whether that aspect of crowdfunding is actually overrepresented rather than it actually has a significant proportion of crowdfunding, because I've seen like non-sexualized books make a lot of money on crowdfunders as well.
Right.
But the thing is, though, I think that what we're really aiming for is that a lot of crowdfunders depends too much on gimmicks to sell rather than cultivating an audience that actually enjoys the book itself. And I guess, and that's well put. I really do. That's a frustration that I feel, really. It's like I feel it's like, it's like, okay, does it matter that you made 5 figures on a campaign, but it's mostly because you're selling 17 variant covers.
Yeah,
Like,
when you're
what do
paying
you
the artist a
really-
minimum of like $400 each, especially when you're taking into consideration
Right, you know,
you're
I
not
mean-
safe for work variants. At the end of the day, what are you actually making?
Right. You know, no, but the thing is though, it kind of like almost contradicts, but I know where it's going. What you said before that I guess like I said, you could tell, you were saying that you had mentioned someone could tell whether they're interested in a comic within 20 seconds just by looking at the artwork. So, so they look at the artwork and okay, I'm interested, but then yeah, it's like, how does the story and like hook the rest of it on your end? Like, because have you ever taken a book in that 20 seconds and then realized, oh, we just made a mistake?
Okay, I'm not on the submissions committee, so I will tell you that I have looked my editor-in-chief in the eye and say, what were you thinking?
Oh, no.
What?
Well, that sounds like some familiar backstage conversation.
Yeah, exactly.
So, that's where I think sometimes I said, you're putting a little bit too much trust in me because the attitude is, well, Andrea will fix it.
Oh, no.
And I'm like, well, I will try. I will certainly try. But I do think obviously the artwork is important. The visuals are important. It is part of the medium. It's, it's the defining quality of the medium.
Right.
And there's nothing wrong with that. But I do think that, the story has got to be there as well. Mm-hmm. And maybe this is the professor in me, but I'm very open to working with the creator to improve the book, and I will tell you, I've been very pleased in my experiences working with creators, where they get it. They understand that, like when we do our onboarding meeting, I just tell them, look, as your editor, I want you to think of the comments that I'll make are going to fall into 3 categories. They're going to be grammar and, punctuation type stuff. There's going to be lettering technique. And then there's going to be the creative stuff. Mm-hmm. And I want you to follow my lead with regard to lettering and punctuation, grammar. But with creative stuff, you can take some, all, or none of what I say. Mm-hmm. And I say that the first meeting that we have. And what I found is that they realize very quickly that I'm not there to try to take their baby away from them. Mm-hmm. And that really the only goal is to try to say, how do we make this story the very best it can be? And once they get that, we really have this wonderful working relationship where, I'm providing them a set of fresh eyes to their story. And, I can see things because you know how it is. If you've worked on a story, there comes a certain point where you don't see it anymore.
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah.
There's so much of it is already in your head that as you're reading it, you're extrapolating stuff that you think is there, but actually never made it onto the page.
Right. Yeah.
And so that's where an editor with that fresh set of eyes can look at it and say, okay, I think I understand what you're doing here, but there's something missing. There's a block here that you didn't put in place to kind of lead the logic flow in the direction that you want to go. Mm-hmm. So that, once they realize that, I just find that we have, a really great experience in terms of that, creator to creator. So,
yeah. So let's go back to Andrea as a creator, as opposed to an editor. So you have your book that I guess that your son pushed you into doing. Right? So you have this book. Now, was it a book that that it's like a Scout just says, yeah, if you're doing it, we're good? Or did you have to audition yourself in order to get your book published?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I probably sent that book out to 40 publishers.
Ooh.
Yeah, no lie. That would have been like in, late 13 to through 14, and the biggest thing that was holding us back with the book was our lettering. Our lettering was just not good enough, and it's tough because a lot of times when you get turned down by a publisher, they don't tell you anything.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
So you don't know. And I was lucky that I had a couple of those publishers that mentioned that they didn't like the lettering. And, I just said, hey, the fact that we've had that said now by 2 or 3 publishers, we've got to look at this. So we ended up, I got an editor for it, who, helped me look at it in the story. And then we completely relettered the book. And then I sent it out to Caliber, and within 24 hours of sending it to Caliber, they emailed me back and said, is this the rest of it done? And I said, yeah, it is. I sent it to them. 24 hours after that, I had a contract in my email.
Huh.
So
you've been working on this story since then. Well, obviously you have 3 graphic novels. I mean,
June
you have 3
of
graphic
11
novels. Yeah.
is when we wrote the first story.
Right.
So.
Now here's the thing. So who edits the editor?
Well, I mean, anyone can really. I mean, what they like. My daughter actually edited the Valentine, which is our third story. I've had other creators have edited for me. Like I said, the first one we actually had an editor, Charles Sellner, that edited for us. So yeah, I mean, having an editor, the trick is to find one that really, that you can really work with, that communicates well with you. And if you have that, that's a tremendous gift.
Right. So it's like, so has another editor, so has someone looked at your book and you kind of like, like 2 editors just like butting heads? Like, have you ever had that moment where it's like another editor says, maybe you should do this, this, and that. And you're like going, no, you're touching the baby. Stop touching the baby.
Well, yeah, I mean, ultimately, you as a creator have to be faithful to your own vision. Okay. But that said, you really have to try to put yourself in a position to hear what other people are saying.
Right.
Because they might have their finger on something. So if you can kind of overcome your pride and just try to listen to what they're saying, like I'll use this as an example. My second novel is called The Path of Souls. If you scroll up, you'll see it.
Oh, so you do prose as well as comics too?
Well, they're graphic novels.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So if you go up just a little bit more, I'll show you the cover for that. If you scroll up on the website.
Yeah, Nita, can you scroll up a little bit more?
Okay, so that middle one. The middle
right here. Yeah, right there.
Okay, so that is the A cover for the trade, the second volume called The Path of Souls. And I'm just going to use that as an example.
Okay.
I was working with a particular artist who is the primary there. His name is Kyle Houston. And we got to the end of the story, and there's one of the stories that's in there. It's kind of there are 4 separate stories of 4 separate souls that are woven together in the novel. And he read the ending and he didn't like it. And I said, okay. And I said, well, why don't you like it? And he explained his reasons. And I said, okay, I guess I can see that. And he said, I've got another idea if you want to hear it. And I said, okay, let's hear it. It doesn't hurt to hear it. So he spent a couple days writing it out and sent it to me. And I read through it and I was like, damn, this is better. So that's what we did. That's what we did, and you have to be, I use that as an example, is that you just have to be, you have to say to yourself, what is the top priority here? The top priority is to try to tell the best story you can.
Yeah.
And it might be that voice, might be an editor that's telling you something. It could be a friend. It could be the artist. It could be the letterer. It could be the colorist.
Right.
But that's the beauty of comics, is you really are working with a creative team.
Right.
And that creative team together produces this wonderful piece of art. So that's what I would urge people, is that, try to come to the work with an editor with an open mind, but at the same time, try to be faithful to what you think is the soul of your work,
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Because that was something that kind of like caught me off guard at the very beginning when I had, when I was doing Eagle Raven issue 1, I had passed it around to a couple of people going, it's like, oh, could you kind of like review it for me so I get a pull quote? And I had Ben Lacey from Shark of War. He actually gave me, he gave me a pull quote, but then he also gave me like a list of questions. It's like that he had just by reading that first issue.
Sure.
And after I had gotten over the initial panic of those questions, because it's like, oh my God, it's so much information that's, that he's referring to that I don't know. I can't fit all that in the first issue. And then I realized that it's like, wait a minute, he's not asking me to put this in a first issue. He's just asking me these questions. And it's like, once I started thinking about it, it actually helped me put together a better ending because the questions he was asking actually became relevant at the end, because it's 15 issues. So at the end, more at the end of the series. And I even thanked him for that, because it's like, holy crap, it's like this came out a lot better than what I had before, just by you asking those questions. And it's like, you kind of like the ego takes a hit for a little bit, and then it's like you realize, like, oh, wait a minute, I'm getting a better story out of this. And it's just like, it's kind of, and in the end, it was just really nice to have that moment, to realize what happened and have that moment. And it's like, look, these are people who I think, be more worried about people who have nothing to say about your work than people who do, because it means that they got so invested in your story, they want to make sure you come out with a better book.
I think that's a great way of putting it, quite frankly.
Yeah, because it's like, if no one had anything to say, then it's like, okay, so were you interested? Were you not interested? But we all kind of have, as creators, we kind of have to get over ourselves a little bit.
Yeah, and saying that doesn't mean that it's easy to do.
Right, exactly.
You got to work on it.
Yeah, exactly. So as you were speaking before, this is, I guess, this is your website. So it is the what is the name of your website here? It's just theshepherdcomic.com. There you go. Okay.
Links are in the show notes.
Everything is going to be listed in the show notes. And it seems, and your books are always, it's like, so do you usually do crowdfunders? Do you not bother with crowdfunders? Or it's like people come to your website, the books are there, they can just get it and call it a day?
Yeah, I've done a couple crowdfunders. It was so time intensive that I just said, I think I'd rather just do this. Okay. And I'm really lucky because my wife is incredibly supportive, and she does very well. So she said, look, the work that you do as an editor, the money that comes in through that, you can put that towards your hobby, put towards the Shepherd,
right?
And see where it goes,
right?
And we're also at a point where our kids are all grown now.
Oh,
our youngest is 22.
Oh,
so it's a different story. It might have not been possible, 15 years ago, but it's possible now. So that's, I wouldn't say it's one way for anybody. You got to find the right way to make it happen for your situation.
Right.
And also I got to say that I'm not the crowdfund. I have a hard. I was the kid. Just put this in perspective. I was the kid that had a hard time selling chocolate bars.
No, really. I completely understand. You're making me have flashbacks at that moment.
Yeah.
That
was that idea of having to to hawk your stuff. It's like, I will tell you, as a writer, of course I want people to read my books. But it's like I always have a hard time selling my own stuff.
Right.
I can sell other people's stuff, no problem at all, but it's selling your own stuff is always tricky for me. So,
yeah. So thank you so much. I think it's a really good, point for the top of the hour. I'm sure we can continue this conversation for hours more, but that just means that we get to bring you back later.
Right.
So thank you so much for coming. And why don't you tell everybody where they can find you? Obviously, they can find you on your website, the Shepherd Comic.
And it's pretty much the same. Instagram is my primary social media platform. The shepherdcomic.com. Of course, you can find the Shepherd also on scoutcomics.com. I'm on Facebook, Twitter. Pretty much the same handle for all of those. So I'd certainly welcome people are interested in the Shepherd reaching out, checking out the books. Like I said, we're going to continue to produce them. We've got Volume 4 is coming out starting in March, and then we're putting the finishing touches on Volume 5 and 6, and I'm writing what will be 7. So it's hopefully we'll keep going as long as they'll have us.
Right. Oh, so there you go. So like I said, thank you for much for coming on the show. Like I said, it's like you said in the beginning, all high. What's it that
all
tides, rising tides.
Yeah.
There you go. That. I'm sorry. I'm distracted by my back, so it's like I pulled my back just getting out of this chair, and it's like
I'm
like,
We're too old for this.
Yeah, I know. So thank you everybody in the chat, for joining us today. So Nita, do you have any final thoughts or
just tune in tonight because Chad will be popping on for Shots with Comics. He'll do some kind of offensive review, I'm sure. Bear with us through the holidays because our shows are going to be kind of sporadic as a lot of guys are taking off next week. Daphne and I will be back here Friday and again on Monday. There will be no Thursday night Throwdown. I know that for sure. No Sketchy Saturday this week. I'm still just bear with us. Bear with us for the holidays. We'll be back after the first of the year with both channels, and we'll get this ball rolling again.
Right, exactly. So there you have it. You got, it's like, there we go. So crowdfunding, small press, we try to have it all here on the show. So for me, if you want to learn more about my artwork and what I do and whatnot, you can head on over to my main portfolio site at egoworks.com, EGOWORKS, where you can find links to all of my galleries and social media sites, including Twitter. But I mostly post to Facebook if you're interested in seeing sketches and current work in progress. That's usually where I put my more up-to-date information. And remember that you can see my videos on YouTube at my channel at Daphne Lage, Lage Art, which also simulcasts through the Indy Comics Network. I will be back on Wednesday with my regular scheduled art live stream from 4 to 6. So join me then, and we will be back on Friday here with Nita at 11 a.m. Eastern. So again, thank you so much for everybody in the chat. Thank you to the 15 people who are watching us from regions beyond. Remember to come on over to YouTube and hit that subscribe button, hit the notification bell so you get notified whenever any of our shows go live. And in the words of the ancients, eat your food, moisturize, mind your business, both literally and figuratively, and do the work, because when you actually do the work, you never have to fake any of your accomplishments. Thank you so much, everybody, and we'll see you next time.